We begin in Iowa for the murder trial of Hamza Smajlovic. He pleaded guilty in the murder of Ruth Robison and the attempted murder of Tony Robinson, the parents of his ex-girlfriend. We've got some unaired footage of the plea hearing and reaction from the surviving victims. Let's get you the background of the case. Court TV's Ted Rowlands reports.
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy for everyone involved.
November 1st, 2024, shots ring out in a Des Moines, Iowa home, killing 45-year-old Ruth Robison and critically injuring her husband, Tony. Local station KCCI cameras were on scene as police responded. Ruth and Tony were there at the house helping their daughter, Jasmine, move out. Jasmine Robison lived there with her boyfriend, Hamza Smajlovic.
We always say separation's the best. You want to get away from whatever's going on to avoid any issues. So to have somebody there to help her, I can't say that's a bad thing at all.
Police say while the Robisons were helping Jasmine pack her things, Hamza Smajlovic opened fire. Jasmine Robison was not hurt.
All right, that was Ted Rowlands reporting. Now, things changed on Monday, and the defendant changed his plea. I want to show you some unaired footage from the hearing. Let's take a look together now.
Do you feel that you now understand the consequences of pleading guilty to these two offenses, Mr. Smajlovic?
Yes, sir.
You understand that the court is going to determine what sentence ultimately you will serve at the time of sentencing. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And have there been any promises made to you about what sentence the court would actually impose at the time of sentencing?
No, sir.
And Mr. Smajlovic, we need to establish a factual basis for these two offenses. In other words, you're going to have to tell me what you did that makes you guilty. So I'm going to take these one at a time. The first offense is murder in the first degree. And what I'm going to tell you now is what the state would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt at a trial that you did to commit murder in the first degree. The state would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about the first day of November of 2024, you shot Ruth Robison, and that Ruth Robison died as a result of being shot by you, and that you acted with malice aforethought, and that you acted willfully, deliberately, premeditatedly, and with a specific intent to kill Ruth Robison. Do you understand those elements that I would have, that the court, that the state would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And counsel, did I get those elements correct?
Yes, you did, Judge.
You agree with that, Ms. Hart-Lundy?
Yes.
All right. Did you commit this offense, Mr. Smajlovic?
I believe I did.
And did you commit this offense on or about the first day of November of 2024 in Polk County, Iowa?
Yes, sir.
In your own words, what is it that you did that makes you guilty of this offense?
I believe that day I went to retrieve my 9mm from a dresser outside, put it on my counter, and I believe after that I did grab my 9mm and shoot Ruth in the head.
Shot Ruth in the head, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was your intent when you picked up that gun? What was your intent?
I believe at the time was to kill her.
You believe at the time it was to kill her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you shot her, what was your intent?
To kill her.
And what happened to Ruth Robison after you shot her?
Shortly after a period of time, she passed away due to her injuries.
From you shooting her?
Yes, sir.
Counsel, you satisfied with that factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Counsel? All right, count 3, which is the attempt to commit murder. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tell you what the elements are that the state would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And then once you understand those, then I'm going to ask you what you did to commit that offense. So attempt to commit murder, the elements that the state would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt would be that on or about first day of November of 2024, you shot Tony Robison, and that by your acts, you expected to set in motion a force or chain of events which would cause or result in the death of Tony Robison, and that when you acted, you specifically intended to cause the death of Tony Robison. Counsel, did I get those elements correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
And Mr. Smajlovic, do you believe you understand what those elements are that the state would have to prove?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you commit that offense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did that occur on or about November 1st of 2024?
Yes, sir.
Was that also in Polk County, Iowa?
Yes, sir.
And what is it that you did that makes you guilty of attempted murder?
I believe after Ruth, I believe I pointed the gun at Tony, and I did shoot him in the head as well.
And what was your intent when you shot Mr. Robson?
I believe it was the intent to kill.
Well, just let me ask you this. When you picked up the gun and then you shot, who did you shoot first?
Ruth.
Okay. And then you shot Mr. Robson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you went to shoot Mr. Robson, what is it that you intended to do?
I believe it was to kill him.
Counsel, you satisfied with that factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, you satisfied?
Yes.
We're going to pause it right here. We're going to see some reaction to this plea in the courtroom from the surviving victims in the case.
Did you get some satisfaction?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, satisfaction is a little different for me or any father in my position, I think, a husband. But it works for now. He's safer there than he is out here.
I ended up asking him if he loved me. He said, I don't know. I said, do you love her? He said, I don't know.
That set you off?
Someone was stabbed?
Yes, she's on the floor.
I didn't have the intent to kill Sarah. I really just wanted to scare them.
It looks more like fury than fear. Did you kill Sarah to possess what she had with Josh? Interview with a Killer. New episode Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific. Only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We're in Iowa, where a man is facing life in prison after pleading guilty to shooting his ex-girlfriend's parents, killing her mother and critically injuring her father. In a dramatic moment just minutes before Hamza Smajlovic was set to go to trial on Monday, he changed his mind and pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and attempted murder in connection to the 2024 shootings. The situation was this. His girlfriend was trying to get away from him. She was trying to move out of their apartment, and her parents were there helping her. And that is when he opened fire on them. And she told Court TV that their relationship was plagued by domestic violence. And she made up her mind to leave him because a few days before that shooting occurred, he strangled her. And so her parents were helping her get out. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and this case is a perfect one to recognize just how lethal abusive situations can be, and not just for the intimate partner, but for also members of that person's family. Let's take a listen to what Tony Robison said to Court TV. Here we go.
My reaction as far as everything, it's what needed to happen, whether we take that due process in trial court or he was able to admit it today to himself. I am satisfied with it.
Were you surprised?
No.
But you expected to go to trial today, did you?
Yes, yeah. And the outcome would have been that he would have been found guilty in trial. This is just cutting that off.
Tell me what happened that day.
The day of November 1st?
Yeah.
He shot my mother, shot my father, and as a result, my mom died. My father has disabilities for the rest of his life. I live with severe trauma just due to being a first-hand witness of the event.
It was expected because from what they said to us that he was willing to go ahead and accept his plea or his deal. And, you know, I was like, I guess it is what it is.
Did you get some satisfaction?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, satisfaction is a little different for me or any father in my position, I think, a husband. But it works for now. He's safer there than he is out here.
Jasmine dated him for 9 years, so you got to know him, did you not?
Somewhat. He didn't really come around too much. He was kind of, you know, let's do this Jazz instead, or always invited him. He has come to the house and ate at my table. I put clothes on his back, paid his rent, his car for him when he couldn't work for whatever reason the excuse was. But, you know, I brought him to my family and to my circle, and this is how we were treated. So I don't know why he's still living. I mean, this would be enough to put anybody down the ground.
So are you sorry there isn't a death penalty in Iowa?
I asked that to be looked at for lethal injection, execution of some sort. I think we need to save our taxpayers' money. Why put somebody like sorry. Yeah, so I was satisfied with the reaction of the court today.
There was no warning. He did what he did as a reason I would still like to know. I would still like to know the answer to that question myself.
Did you think this was coming?
No, not to this extent.
Because he was abusive?
Yeah, he was abusive for the entirety of our 9-year relationship.
You were with him for 9 years?
Yes.
So you must have dated him when you were
14. The final thing he ever did to me was strangle me or attempt to strangle me to death. At that point, I was scared for my life. That was a couple of days before the shooting took place.
Everything's normal. He looks like a little high school boy who got his heart broken kind of thing, probably more than anything. And I don't know if he's ever had a broke up before, the way his reactions were. But yeah, I was just there picking up her stuff and taking a load and coming back, getting another one. It's kind of how I do my things. I used to be able to lift 400 or 500 pounds and throw it on my back and go. That's just how I did things. I moved houses myself. But yeah, I mean, I kind of knew him, but not really knew him. Like, he didn't really want to be involved with us. He acted like maybe he was too good for us. For my nationality of some sort, you know, it's like he didn't really care for that, I didn't think. But that didn't bother me, because you are who you are. I couldn't tell you if I was shot first or second. To me, I thought I was shot first because he held the gun and pointed at me the whole time when the finger went on the trigger. That's when I reacted.
And how did you react? Did you run? Did you? You tried to dodge the bullet.
I tried to push my wife out of the way.
How has this shooting affected you? Like your daughter says you have a lifelong
It's affected me 125%.
But you're able to walk and talk, and is life normal?
No.
How is it not normal?
Excuse me, I apologize. Brainwaves, I'm not there. My intelligence seems like it's gone. I can't speak certain words like I used to. My enunciations are completely off. I can't see because the bullet went through my face. I can't move like I used to. My Tai Chi's rusty and my Kung Fu's off. I can't do my jumps or my rolls I used to train all the time.
The biggest impact to all of our lives is just living every day without our mom being here and trying to understand how to cope with this new life the way it is. She would always plan everything for the family, everything, making sure that everybody was there and everybody had a way to get there, and she'd make sure that everybody was together. That was her biggest thing, is making sure that the family was spending time together.
There they were, Tony Robison and his daughters Jasmine and Chase. What a devastating situation this family has had to contend with here. Losing mom, dad permanently disabled and going to suffer from his injuries. Both of these daughters traumatized. Even with this guy agreeing to serve life in prison for the murder of Ruth Robison and 25 years for the attempted murder of Tony Robison, is it ever enough? You know, I always say with homicide cases, it's never, ever complete closure. It's some measure of closure, but never complete closure, because we can't bring Ruth Robison back. What a sad situation. Sentencing for him is set for November 21st at 9 a.m. And I got a question on Twitter. Jen, thank you for this question. This guy, Jen's asking, is there any way he can appeal this? She was wondering because in Iowa, the judge asked him to state the factual basis for his plea, and he was using the words, I believe, quite a bit. She was saying, could that be grounds for an appeal? No. As part of this, he has explicitly waived any right to take an appeal. So that is part and parcel of this plea that was just taken on Monday. So let's talk a bit about this situation and how this went down with it being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Let's bring in former prosecutor Randolph Rice. Randolph, good morning to you. Let's talk a bit, if we can, about the lethality of situations when a person who's being abused goes to leave their abuser. It is the deadliest time for that person, is it not? Would you speak from experience, please, some of the cases you've had, things you've seen over the years, what we can learn from a case like this one?
Sure, certainly, and good morning, Julie, and I agree with you. These are some of the most difficult and dangerous times. We often hear police officers would tell us that, you know, the cases they did not like to respond to were domestic violence cases. They would go to a house with a drug dealer or, you know, maybe a robber or burglar, but domestic violence cases, they always worried about it. And I remember cases where we would have protective orders and we worried about the victims because we knew this was going to be a flashpoint for the future.
Yes, yes. They are the most dangerous calls that police can go on. As you said, Randolph, statistics show that. When patrol officers are out there and they get the call that there's a domestic situation, and they are the most lethal cases for them as well. And we talk often about how leaving isn't easy. It's one of the things that makes these cases so tricky and tough. As you said, they're tough to prosecute. Oftentimes, because this is not only abuse, but it's abuse, you know, shrouded in secrecy. It's all behind closed doors. Batterers often put on a different face in the courtroom, and they manipulate their victims to not cooperate with a court case. And, you know, you would think, like, a family doing this together, I could totally see how everyone would think, oh, there's safety in numbers, right? He's not going to act out and strangle her again because mom and dad are here. He's not going to do anything in front of mom and dad. And yet this animal took it a step worse and shot them.
Yeah, you're right. Typically, you would think, look, we're going to have numbers. We're going to have my, you know, she obviously thought, hey, I'm going to have my parents here. This will make this a safe exit. And, you know, kudos to her for being able to make that break, because as you just mentioned, it's often these pressures of the victim feels like they can't escape. There's mental pressures, there's financial pressures. And for her to take this leap was just such a brave moment in her life. But unfortunately, it led to this violent situation that took her mother's life.
She's a very brave young lady, Jasmine Robison, very brave. And Randolph, I know you're well aware of this. You do victims work. And for anybody who may be unaware, there are domestic violence resource organizations all over the country. I bet if you Google it at home, you can find one very close to you. And they can put together a plan free of charge for you if you are in a relationship that is abusive and may become lethal. And trust me, if it's abusive, it can become lethal. It has that potential. Get with these people. They will help you. They will work on a safety plan to get you out of harm's way. And they know just how to structure things to put you in the least amount of danger as possible. I always say, Rand, if there's an organization I work with back in Pittsburgh, shout out to Crisis Center North, I always say, you know, they're like the witness protection program. They can almost like make someone disappear to keep them so safe, and to help with things like maybe it's a dog you're worried about, or a child, or, you know, there are other things keeping you locked in. They will help you with all of that. Randolph, anything else you're thinking about that this situation is heartbreaking, we know, and we can't change the facts, but if we can take anything from it, what else would you say for people to be mindful of as we're reflecting so much this month on these types of cases?
Absolutely. Just to piggyback off of what you said, if you are a victim of domestic violence, and you're right, we've represented a lot of people who have been victims before, a couple of resources. One is Google. Obviously, go on there and Google victim resources in your county, in your city. Contact the prosecutor in your county and say, hey, look, I don't want to file charges, but I want some help. Can you point me in the right direction? And those people, as well as the police department, can get you the resources and that help that you need to make that separation safely.
Yes, yes, Randolph, because that's key in understanding the separation needs to happen safely. It's something that I wouldn't suggest anyone doing it without help. I mean, I've come to learn that over the years, haven't you? I remember being in the DA's office, and I worked in a huge office, and so they had a whole unit for domestic violence cases. I, you know, very rarely had to touch one unless it was like a special assignment. Here, we're giving you this. But to me, those cases terrified me more than the gang cases, you know, because it was so unpredictable, the behavior. You just really never knew what you were dealing with these very charming people that come to court and appear one way, and then behind closed doors, they're behaving quite another way. Randolph, I'm so glad we had you to weigh in on this.